Hey, Brian, let me ask you a question.
What's up?
In the HR and payroll world that's filled with so many different systems, what advice would you give to someone who's looking to simplify things?
That is a great question. And it makes me think of this time I was working for a consultant, and it was crazy because all the clients had different systems. A lot of times, like you use one system for all your clients, but no. So I was terrified. And the one system that really stood out to me was Bamboo HR. Made my life so much easier. Do what we did and get a free demo of bamboohr.com/free demo. Get back to doing what you actually love in HR. Go to bamboohr.com/free demo. That's bamboohr.com/free demo. Employers cannot retain any portion of tips received by employees. Okay, so your employers cannot keep your tips. Welcome to episode 43, folks. We're talking about New York minimum wage. But before we get into all the goodness, what's up, Walt? How you doing, sir?
I'm good, man. Happy Monday to you. 11/11.
Yeah, 11/11. I thought I was writing the date today. I was like 11/11/11. Oh, wow, that was 2011. People make fun of that all the time.
How you doing, man?
I'm all right, man. I'm standing up again. I was sitting for a while.
What?
I like standing. It gives freedom. We can move around a little bit. Some flexibility. Not too much because we need camera placement, right? Remember, we gotta stay in place.
We didn't upgrade our camera, so they move with us.
Yes, I did. Yeah, I had a coworker that had that. Duh, we could just do that. Yep. Upgrade the mic, get the boom mic, and the can. Come on now.
Get some LED lights or neon lights back in the background.
I'm still trying to figure out how I would do it, how the lighting would work.
We would have to turn off all the lights and just let those light from the back kind of like just light us up, and then have you see that you see this glare right here?
Yeah.
Yeah,
the light.
That's the light.
You got the social media, this influencer light, no doubt. Yeah, one day, folks, we'll update.
Yeah, we're gonna get there.
We'll update. We've been told we need to update. Apparently, I don't know. I like my background.
It's working for us right now, but we'll get there one day.
We will get there. Yes, we will get there. So yeah, we're talking about New York State minimum wage. It's about your paycheck. We have made a conscious decision to split episodes now, right? We were doing some group, this experimentation, folks. It's evolution. We're experimenting. You don't like it.
We started out doing the two separate shows. Actually, we had a bunch of different shows, right? We had
4 or 5 shows at one time.
We had Save Talk, and we had Lost Tapes. We had all these different things we were trying to do.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And now we're just like, okay, we're just going to focus on these two different things, and we combine the two, consolidate the shows, and say, okay, hey, we're going to do this, make it one show, save on some recording time. And then, like Brian said, we were just like, nope, it needs to be their two own entities or the two own things.
Yeah, pretty much. And don't worry, folks. We have put all those other recordings out on the episode. Like, it was basically all the lost tapes that went out. If you look at the seasons and the episodes, they're all there. And I think we just got to a point of quality. Like one of our number one things is delivering a great product to our listeners, and we started to feel like it was getting sacrificed by trying to do 2 shows in one, and especially because we shortened the shows as well. Right? We used to go hour and change.
Yeah, East West.
I remember Gerard, the first time he came on, he's like, guys, you're killing me with these shows, 2 hours. And we're like, all right. So ever since, it took another year, 2 years from then to really get it, to make that decision to be like, all right, we're going to do 30 minutes. We're gonna shoot for 30 minutes. And then we go over here 5-10 minutes. But in editing, you get right around 30 minutes now. I think that's a very digestible time frame.
Especially if you speed it up like me. I speed up my playback speed like a time and a half, 2 times and a half, and I just get through it.
Yeah. Everybody has their thing. It's all good. It is all good. So yes, again, we're talking about New York State minimum wage today. It's about your paycheck. Let's get into it with the pay news first.
All right. So I'm going to go first. I have a quick article from BloombergLaw.com, and it's talking about just states with the highest and lowest minimum wage out there. So for any employees listening, You can go to the site. One of your states might be on here on the lowest or the highest.
So what's the highest and the lowest? Give us
So
that.
the top 5 locations with the highest minimum wage. Number 1 is the District of Columbia, DC,
Wow.
$17 an hour.
Oh,
State of Washington is $16.28. California is $15 an hour. New York City, Nassau, Suffolk, and
Suffolk County.
Suffolk County, okay.
Suffolk.
And Westchester counties are at $16 an hour. And then number 5 is Connecticut at $15.69.
So it's not just states; it's like counties, really.
But those are the highest
I
ones.
feel like I thought there was an $18 one in Cali.
Maybe there is. This article was written in April of this year, so maybe during that time it changed.
Oh,
Between now and then.
could have. Yeah.
So I'm just reading off of this article. So the lowest,
Yeah.
number 1 is Georgia at
Dang.
$5.15. That's their state minimum wage.
How can they be lower than the federal though?
That's what it is, bro. That's their state minimum wage. Looked it up a couple times.
Fact check it?
This is the
Bloomberg.
law.com.
How can they be lower than federal? That's the problem.
Wyoming is at 15. It's at $5.15. West Virginia is at $8.75. Minnesota is at $8.85. And now there's a caveat here. They have this in parentheses. This is for small employers. Are those with
Oh,
Minnesota?
see, that's the thing. I think there are a lot of caveats there for that because, like, how can they drop below federal without some type of exception? There's got to be an exception in there.
Maybe. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. Okay, it says the state minimum wage law is $5.15, but it says it automatically defaults to the federal because it's higher.
Oh,
So it is $5.15, but they default to the $7.25 because the federal is
Yeah.
higher.
Same thing ChatGPT just said too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it is accurate. It is.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's accurate, but not really.
It is. It's like the state one is literally $5.15, but they just default to the $7.25 because it's higher.
That's so silly. And it's such a great thing. This
Yeah.
is exactly why we do this show, folks.
Mm-hmm.
Because as an employee, you get confused. You're like,
Mhm.
what? Wait a minute. And now guess what? Don't let them pay you $5.15 in Georgia when the federal is $7.25.
Look, just like we had that situation in what we talked about in California, where those immigrant workers were being threatened and paid under minimum wage. Maybe that might be going on in Georgia. Maybe you're an immigrant, a migrant worker, right?
Yeah.
Make sure
Yep.
you're not getting paid. You still have some rights too.
There are some exceptions, and that's why I said, wait, there's got to be an exception because there are, and actually, do I talk about them here? Yeah, I'll talk about them in a little bit. All right, we'll get into that. What else you got?
And then the Minnesota, like I was saying, is $8.85, but the caveat for that is that it's for small employers or those with an annual gross revenue of less than $500,000. You make a look as a business, then the minimum wage is going to be higher in Minnesota. And then
Okay.
number 5 is Puerto Rico,
With a low minimum wage?
$9.50.
$9.50. See, and they're not technically a state. They're all exceptions.
Yeah, they're a territory.
There. That's probably actually good for their status. Wow, very interesting.
Yep. So that's all I had. And Puerto Rico did increase it. As there's some notes down here, they did recently increase it in July of this year from $9.50 to $10.50. So they raised it $1. So
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Good for them. All right. So I have a article from Forbes magazine, Forbes.com, that I wanted to share. And it's just a blurb. They go into a lot of rankings on benefits and what industries have good benefits, what are the worst. Folks can look it up. I'm just sharing the top 5 workplace benefits, right? Basically, they did a survey of employees, right? And they asked them, what are the best benefits to have? What do you look for? Number 1 is paid sick leave.
Finding a great career has always been a challenge. But today, With the massive changes underway in just about every sector of the economy, in just about every country in the world, finding a great new career is even more challenging. And if you're a student, recent graduate, or someone else early in their career, it's even harder for you because you just don't have the experience that those who might be 10, 20, 30 years older than you have. The answer? The podcast. From dorms to desks. A podcast by College Recruiter job search site, where every week we take a deep dive into a topic specifically of interest to candidates who are early in their careers and looking for a great part-time, seasonal, internship, or other entry-level job.
So it's interesting. I thought it would be paid vacation, but it's paid sick leave. And all of these are within a few points from each other, ranking-wise, because I was like 82% of people said paid sick leave, 78.5 said healthcare benefits, 78.1 said paid holidays, 76% said retirement benefits, and then 71.4% said paid vacation. I thought that was interesting that the paid vacation was number 5 in the top 10 or top 5 or whatnot. But yeah, you see, it's interesting to see what employees like hold most important as far as benefits are concerned. And I know one of the things that was like the bottom 5 list was like flexible hours or flexible this. So there's like some things that I thought would be higher were lower, but these are the top 5. Yeah. So interesting stuff. For the link to these articles will be in the show notes. And let's pay some bills.
Let's do it.
Let's pay the bills. Shout out to Time Track Go. If you're tired of the messy timesheets or complicated time clock software or wooden time clocks, Time Track Go is an intuitive solution that makes managing employee hours simple and efficient. But don't take our word for it. Customers have given Time Track Go 4.7 out of 5 stars on Capterra, and they have been awarded badges for best ease of use and best customer support again in 2024.
Yes.
Let's go, Time Track Go.
Let's go.
Yes. Congrats, man. I love it. Some of the customers are saying great value, best clock in app on the market, great time clock for modern office, not a wooden time clock. We don't need that. And intuitive and efficient, simple to use, priced right. That's critical. And customer support is awesome. I think that above all, they should be number 1, right?
Those are all
Customer
great things,
support.
man.
Yeah.
All
And
great
then
things.
those are not ranked, folks. These are what customers from Time Track Go, their real customers are saying in their feedback. So yeah, go check them out.
Yeah, so to learn more about a simply better solution for time tracking, real-time reporting, PTO automation, payroll integrations, and more, you want to go visit timetrackgo.com. That's www.timetrackgo.com or TIMETRAK go.com. Go and start your 14-day free trial today. Let's go.
Let's go. All right. So again, main topic today, folks, we're talking about New York State minimum wages. I'm going to give some facts on basically what to expect. You're an employee in New York. What should you know about minimum wage? The first things is all employees are covered, specifically exempt. Okay. And I do have an exemption list here for that as well. And in NYC, both large and small employers must pay a single minimum wage rate, meaning they're all subject to the minimum wage rate in NYC. There's no small employer exemption, just like how Walt was talking about earlier in the states that he was ranking. Some states say, hey, this is the minimum wage, but if you're a small employer, you can pay less. And small employer meaning like headcount and or revenue. They give them a bit of a break because they got to do the math, folks, right? And you just be aware of that when you go out and look for jobs. Try to stick to the larger employers unless you can afford to get a minimum wage at a small employer. And if that's in your state and that's applicable. Some of the exemptions, meaning these folks these companies that run these businesses, or these businesses don't have to pay minimum wage at the New York state level, are babysitters, right? Think about it. Babysitters is like, hey, just get Sally from next door type of thing. It's not a business. And even if you are running a business, guess what? They're going to be exempt. Farm laborers and some agricultural workers are exempt from that minimum wage. Executive, administrative, and professional employees. I thought that was a little interesting because, like, why would they be exempt from minimum wage? The only thing I could think of is if you give an executive or something, hey, I just want to give them monthly, but I don't know, that they don't get it. They get money to do very little work when they're an executive. I have no idea. I don't know why they're exempt, but they're exempt. Outside salespeople and taxi cab drivers. Outside salespeople, I could see because that's commissions, and taxi drivers have tips involved, and salespeople have commissions involved. So that's why minimum wages could be lower. Religious officials and members of religious orders. That's usually a non-for-profit, right? So that's why they're going to get a little less. A lot of religious people, like how can I say this? Their needs are met by the church, so they don't need that high dollar amount. Workers in religious or charitable institutions, including certain non-for-profit staff, camp counselors, usually a short time of work that they work in. Students working for a recognized college or university, because students, again, all these things make sense. Okay, yeah, they're not, these are all folks, like public employees, non-for-profit volunteers, and learners or apprentices in non-for-profit sectors. And then volunteers at specific events, meeting conditions around event duration, or an employer notification are also exempt from this.
Hey, Brian, let me ask you a question.
What's up?
In the HR and payroll world that's filled with so many different systems, what advice would you give to someone who's looking to simplify things?
That is a great question. And it makes me think of this time I was working for a consultant, and it was crazy because all the clients had different systems. A lot of times, like, you use one system for all your clients, but no. So I was terrified. And the one system that really stood out to me was Bamboo HR. Made my life so much easier. Do what we did and get a free demo of bamboohr.com/free demo. Get back to doing what you actually love in HR. Go to bamboohr.com/free demo. That's bamboohr.com/free demo.
Let's see. Industry-specific exemptions are hospitality, building service, miscellaneous industries. I don't know what that means. Sorry, folks. Non-for-profit institutions and farm workers. So again, they break it down by like class of employee, but then also some broad stroke industries. And then the tip credit, of course, most of us know that people who work on tips, they have a lower minimum wage because they expect the tips to cover the difference and to get them to minimum wage. But there is a rule there, folks. If you're in this type of business, if your tips don't get you to minimum wage, your employer is supposed to make up the difference, get you to minimum wage. Okay? Is there anything worth out calling out here? Ooh, something good I liked in here is for employees. Employers cannot retain any portion of tips received by employees. Okay? So your employers cannot keep your tips. It's not allowed. Now, if you guys made some agreement, that's different. There's probably got to look into legalities of that. I still have not worked in that industry. I spent very little time as an employee in that industry, so I don't know how that works, but would love to understand. If you guys come on the show, teach us about it. And in that hospitality industry, tip credits are not allowed if tipped employees spend more than 2 hours or 20% of their shift doing non-tipped work.
Thank you for sharing that stuff, man. So
absolutely.
Me, I just have some key changes to share, and then some other information about potential resources for budgeting and saving. If you are being paid minimum wage in New York, because the cost of living in New York, from what I'm told, is it's really expensive. If you are at minimum wage, you may need some of these resources, these free resources that I'm going to mention here in a little bit. As I said earlier, New York's minimum wage have recently increased as of January this year, 2024. New York City's, Long Island's, and Westchester counties minimum wage has gone up to $16 per hour. Other counties in New York State are at $15 per hour. The rates will continue to increase by 50 cents each year. By 2025, they will reach $16.50 for New York City, Long Island, and Westchester, and $15.50 for those other regions. And then by 2026, if they continue to do that, to raise that by the 50 cents, in 2026, they will be at $17 for the New York City, Long Island, and Westchester counties or locations, and then $16 for the other regions, respectively. So this is based on annual adjustments that are tied to consumer price indexed, and will likely affect those minimum wage rates, potentially increasing those wages further based on inflation trends. So there looks like a lot that's going into these calculations they're doing. Yes, that means a lot. Yes, to me, that's good. Yeah. So beyond 2026, I said that. So what can you do as an employee if you need to report violations? So you can report minimum wage violations or labor law violations directly to the New York Department of Labor. The New York State Department of Labor website offers an online complaint form and other resources to help those employees understand your rights. So really, again, we keep harping on it. The whole reason we started this particular podcast, it's about your paycheck. What's to empower? What's to educate? So find out, do your research, take ownership of your pay is something that we say now, right? So you taking ownership is right, making sure that you're holding your employer accountable and making sure that they're paying you correctly. So anybody who's a worker in New York that feels they're not being paid fairly, or you feel like your wages are being stolen from you, or you have other issues, you can use this platform to file that complaint. And you can also consider reaching out to local workers' rights groups for additional support in understanding your rights and navigating complaints. Look, this might be the first time you're hearing this. There's local worker rights groups out there that will support me as a New York employee. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? There are groups out there. You just have to know exactly where they're at, find out where there may be one local to you right down the street and you don't even know because you didn't empower yourself, right? So now you know. So as far as budgeting and saving resources, so for the employees that are earning minimum wage, budgeting can be challenging, right? So here are some free resources and programs that are available to help New Yorkers stretch those dollars. So the New York State Department of Financial Services has online tools, workshops, and guides for budgeting and financial literacy. The United Way of New York City provides financial empowerment centers that offer free one-on-one financial counseling. And the New York Public Library has free financial literacy classes and often focuses on saving strategies and budgeting basics. So look, those are some free resources you have at your disposal that you can just tap into, and it will help you learn how to manage your money better. We all could use that these days, you know?
Heck yeah. Absolutely. Thanks for sharing that, man.
Yes, sir. All right. So we are going to our question of the day, other episode, and we're going to ask you, well, I did throw an extra one in here really quick. So from your experience, I know you frequent travel often to New York from time to time. But I'm going to ask you, with your experience, which borough in New York has the best food?
Queens, hand down.
Queens?
Queens, yep, because it's the most diverse borough.
Okay.
Manhattan would come in second, I think, but Manhattan, it's more expensive. I think it's more expensive, period. And so to get the diversity, you might have to pay more, whereas Queens has the diverse pockets of neighborhoods. It's such a great diversity. And I think the other boroughs, I'm Queens native, so I'm Queens. It's going to be Queens all day for me. But to be fair, NYC, period, Brooklyn is great. When I think Brooklyn, I'm thinking right away, three things. It's the Jewish neighborhoods, the Italian, Caribbean. So it's like it has its focuses there. I'm sure there are more. And Staten Island, I don't know very well at all. The Bronx is the heavily Caribbean
Yeah,
and Italian. So
bro.
as a New Yorker, I think of what the cultures like that speak to me from those other boroughs.
Yeah.
Queens, I'm not the only one that says it. People always say Queens is just a very diverse borough. With that, you get amazing food.
Yeah. My girlfriend, she says the same thing. She's from Queens too, Jamaica. Queens food there, like you said, very diverse and everything. And I've been in New York a couple of times, but the one thing I have yet to experience is a New York pizza, a pie.
What? So you went to New York and didn't have pizza?
No, bro. It was for work. Couldn't do it. Didn't have time. Didn't have nothing street meat, like you call it.
Oh, street. Ooh. Oh, this is an amazing thing. Yeah, this is dope. It's a good one.
Yeah, man. All right. Now let's get back to the real question of the day. Just wanted to ask you that, man.
No doubt.
Is the annual increase in New York's minimum wage an effective solution for supporting workers amid rising living costs, or does it place too much burden on small businesses and risk inflationary impact or effects?
So basically, is that 50-cent adjustment until 2026, you said?
Yeah.
Oh, so it's really only 2 more times.
Hey, this is William Tincup, Work to Fun. Hey, listen, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about Inside the C-Suite, the podcast. It's a look into the journey of how one goes from high school, college, whatever, all the way to the C-Suite, all the ups and downs, failures, successes, all that stuff. Give it a listen. Subscribe wherever you get your podcast.
Well,
Okay.
it says each year. So I think they're going to do it.
25 and 26.
I just did it for 20. I did it up until 2026. I think it's going to continue beyond that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
For each year.
I think it's great. Look, I think they're very aggressive, just like California. But good is so relative. You know, it's so relative.
Say that again, man. Yes.
Right? It's just at the end of the day, if we're not good with money, it doesn't matter how much money you have.
Yep.
You're not going to be good with money.
Yep.
Yes, I think it's great, but we're still going to have folks that are going to say it's not enough.
Yeah.
And those will be the folks, honestly, you kind of telling on yourself, because those are the folks who are like, hey, I don't want to be
I know you don't want to
stereotypical. not even stereotypical.
I know you don't want to be insensitive. I know you're not trying to be insensitive or anything, right?
That's a good one.
But look, I have complained about money, right? We've even talked about Americans are struggling to living paycheck to paycheck on here, but we've also talked about different things that we can do as Americans and people who are living in this current climate, right? This economic climate. One of the things I was just looking at, I saw somebody on TikTok and Publix, and she said people say that Publix grocery store is expensive, but she was like, if you coupon,
oh yeah,
you can
Publix
save a
Queen,
lot of
right?
money. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I tried to reach out to her, see if she'd come on this show.
Yeah, coupon Quinky.
You can't. Yeah, I didn't find her. You can't. She doesn't have open on TikTok. I gotta find another way.
Okay.
Yeah, it would be great, but because she's coupon queen for. If you go hit her link tree,
yep,
she's got Costco and she does it all. She's got all the hacks.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a bunch of people like that. But that's the point, right? Like, if you are intentional, you can make $1 stretch. If you're not, then you're gonna run out of money. You know what I mean? To answer the question, yeah, I think it's great, but it is still not gonna solve everybody's problem. And I think I was just telling my oldest daughter, we live in a capitalism government. It's about money. You know what I mean? It's about chasing the dollar. It's about pulling yourselves up by your bootstraps and getting the American dream and chasing that dream. And they want you to chase it because you're going to spend money all along the way.
That's why they call it the rat race, right?
That's why they call it the rat race. Exactly right. So, yeah, what do you think?
I totally agree with you. And I go back to those resources that I mentioned earlier, right? The New York Public Library, the Financial Service, New York Financial Services, right? They have free online stuff to teach you financial literacy, to teach you how to save, to teach you, hey, do this, do that. Don't eat out so much.
Dude, if you go on TikTok and be like, save money, just search save money, your TikTok feed is going to get flooded with save money life hacks. Like, there's a ton of things if you want to be intentional.
But it's like you said, we live in a capitalistic world, because it's not just our country.
Really.
You know, it's like it's a world. It's always trying to sell you something somewhere.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Whether it's legit or not.
Sure.
And it's up to you to say, no, I don't need that.
Yes. And we get caught up in that, keeping up with the Joneses and all that stuff. And just to give you a real life example of the resources you mentioned, my mom recently went through a rent hike. And she went to the library. She went to one of her public, it was either the library or her local, like, alderman office that's like in the neighborhood. And there was a resource and she got a credit and then she qualified. Now she's a senior citizen. She hears this, she's going to get mad at me. But she's older, right? She's retired. She's older. And she does listen to the show, like the clips. But she qualified for these things and she got a subsidy.
That's just
boom, money back in her pocket because she qualified, but she went out and looked for it and got it.
Also, another thing you can do is all states, I believe that all states, I could be wrong, but I believe that all states that have unclaimed property sites.
Oh,
unclaimed wage.
That's a
Go on there. You may have some money.
Property.
You may have some out there.
GMA does it. Good Morning America. They made a whole thing of it. And it was like, for payroll people, we were like, oh, SG. Escheatment. There's a fancy word for it, but it's basically unclaimed wages. This is not recurring. It's not you're going to always every month have something on there. But if you go look it up, look your family members up, look everybody close to you up, there might be money sitting out there in your name that you never claimed.
And if I were you, I would check it periodically. Even if you do it, check it every quarter, right? Because think about it.
Why? Tell us why.
There's a timeline that the employers have to release that to the state. So some states, I forget the state that it actually is, and I think it was Colorado or California. Again, fact check me. But they have up to 3 years to try to pay you in one way. And then after those 3 years, then they release it to the state and say, hey, and then it posts on the site.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So it takes time. So so Walt's point, keep checking every quarter is good.
Yeah.
And just keep checking every now and then. So it's not a big deal.
You don't have
and something pops up.
You don't have to.
And you guys might be like, what is that? What do you mean unclaimed money? It could be a refund from an insurance policy. It could be a
light
paycheck
bill
that you never got. Actually, my Burger King check from when I was 18 should still be out there. It was $30.
It probably still is.
$30.
But I think you do, in some states, you as the employee have a timeline too to go to the site and claim it.
Claim it?
Some states.
Because the state keeps the money?
Yeah, bro.
Yo, people getting rich, bro. There's always something.
Yep.
Look at that. That's right. Wall's right. Every quarter would be better than every year because you might have missed something.
Yep. Go check it.
Yeah, go check it out. Yeah, good stuff, man. Good stuff. And that's it, folks.
All right.
We back to business. Don't worry. More good info coming your way. It's about your paycheck. Tell a friend. Hit follow. Hit share. Click. We need the support. Spread the word.
Yep. We want to hear your experiences too. Reach out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you want to keep getting info, hit that follow. Hit that share. We love you, folks. Peace.
Peace.
Before we sign off, here are a couple quick things. Don't forget to follow It's About Payroll on LinkedIn and It's About Your Paycheck on Facebook and TikTok.
Thank you for being part of our payroll community, and thank you for being a part of this journey with us. Until the next time, keep learning, keep growing, and most importantly, keep going.
This episode is brought to you by Paramount Plus. Gladiator 2 is now streaming on Paramount Plus. Rated R. Years after the death of Maximus, Lucius is forced into the Colosseum after his home is conquered by tyrannical twin Roman emperors. With the future of the empire at stake, he must find strength and honor to return the glory of Rome to its people. Gladiator 2, now streaming on ParamountPlus.com.